All right, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Unit Eagle Eye coming to you again with a brand new video. I do realize it has been a while since I've made a video. I think my last video actually was my Arsenal player ratings against Chelsea. I just needed a couple of days off from Arsenal. Um, Came back from a long weekend. I'm refreshed and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to try and drop something to you guys every single day this week. I know I owe you guys umpteenth chopping blocks. They're all recorded. So you may just find them pop up whenever. So keep an eye out of that. But they're all recorded. They're all ready to go. And none of them to surprise anybody. But yeah, so keep an eye out. Every single day this week, I'm going to be dropping something. So look out for that. Now, let's talk about some signings because you're through to the Eagle Eye show. This is my transfer rumor show, which I started last summer, where I do this anyway. Every single day, I'm always looking for any hope, any sign that Arsenal will spend even a little bit of money on the next gem, on the next talent. And there are a few stories that have popped up today. They popped up the last few days. I'm going to talk about a handful of them. I know people have been asking me about the PSG right back that we're linked with and various other stories. So I'm going to try and hit all of those points today. All right, so first things first, let's talk about the main story that I've gone with in my headline. So Arsenal are in serious talks with potentially a Danny Welbeck replacement. That we've made an approach for. I'm going to butcher this team's name. Leganes, I don't know. The La Liga team, yo. For forward Youssef En-Nesyri or Nazari. See, that one I feel like I could get better. But Leganes. I don't know, man. You know the La Liga team I'm talking about, but Youssef En-Nesyri. He's a striker, 22 years old. Did okay, nothing spectacular, but did okay. He scored 11 goals in 34 games in all competitions. So he seems like someone who is going to be a bit of a Welbeck replacement. He's quite tall as well, just shy of 6'3". In terms of his attributes, I know that he's a physically strong individual. Doesn't have the greatest of hold-up plays, but loves an aerial goal, loves a header, loves an aerial challenge, really. Very, very strong. Said to be pretty good finisher as well. And people have often said that in a better side, they feel like he'll do better. So yeah, apparently Real Betis are also chasing the striker. And a figure of 8.8 million is the figure that's being talked about. Now, let's be honest, with a club like Arsenal, let's be real here, this is exactly an Arsenal type of signing. You know, there's certain stories that you can look at and think, yeah, I can believe that. This is that story for me. As soon as I saw it, I thought, yeah, I could see that. I could see Arsenal so being interested in this guy. But listen, I thought for some time that, in my view, I'd like to see a striker come in. I know a lot of people are talking about, because obviously we've got Aubameyang, we've got Lacazette, and Eddie's in the periphery. But for me, if it was up to me, I'd loan Eddie and I'd bring in another striker. And I feel like this is that move. Just because I'm not convinced Eddie's good enough, but I'd like to find out. I'd like to see him play more regularly, even if it's at championship level. I'd like to see him play more regularly. I know a lot of people have said that they could see him going to Germany. I don't think so. I don't think he's technically the type of signing that a German club would be looking for, even for a loan. But I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. Let me accept that. So I don't want to look silly. Someone creates a GIF just after I said that. You know, it's possible enough. You know, ultimately, a loan is a no-risk situation, I guess. So maybe I shouldn't have said that. But I just, for some reason, my gut feeling tells me he'll be playing for someone like a Fulham next season in the Championship, which I think would be a good signing for Fulham. I think they need a striker, and when you think of the fact that my man will be going back to Newcastle, they could do worse in getting someone like Eddie in. So I think with this guy sliding in and being that kind of third choice striker, looks like a target man to me as well. Has decent pace, but I think his attributes will be to hold up play. And I know his hold up play isn't the greatest, weirdly. Excuse me, let me correct myself. He actually, is he 21 or is he 22? Because the thing I'm reading says he's 21, but I've seen earlier things say he's 22. Right, he's between 21 and 22, young. But yeah, looks to be a decent enough striker, and we do need someone. So I'm open-minded to it. So yeah, let's see what happens with that. Most of the stories going today that he'll be our first summer signing. But they said that 2 weeks ago that we were after Walter Kezelman was going to be our first summer signing. So these papers are guessing. But this is what transfer rumors are about, people. We're all guessing at this point. Educated guesses, right? So that's the first story I'm going to talk about. The second story about is supposedly it's broken in the last couple of hours. See, this is the type of story I look at and I think, this ain't an Arsenal type of story. But Arsenal have supposedly bid 42 million euros for Joachim Andersen and Dennis Parrat. Now, you may have remembered me talking about these in a couple of different video series. I think I mentioned it in a previous Eagle Eye episode. And I also mentioned Dennis Parrat as one of the wingers I'd signed in my Chick Knows Best video series. Both are good players. I'm a little bit less convinced about Parrat, I must admit, but I know that he's a good passer of the ball. I know he's technically very sound. I guess my thing with Parrat is that, for me, he'd be the Ozil replacement. So, obviously, there are a lot of stories, and I guess I might as well transition into that now. There are a lot of stories that the Arsenal board and Emery are having a lot of secret meetings at the moment, discussing strategies on how to get rid of Mesut Ozil. I don't think it's any secret. For me, I felt that this was the case early in the season, that Arsenal will do anything in their power by the end of the summer to have shifted Mesut Ozil off the books. If for no other reason, just to save ourselves £350,000 a week. And I just think, short of Thierry Henry, regardless of what you feel about Mesut Ozil, you guys know what I feel about Mesut Ozil. I actually don't think this Arsenal board, this particular Arsenal structure, let me put it that way, would offer anybody short of Thierry Henry £350,000 a week. You have to be that sort of level to get that type of contract. And I think anyone who has that sort of contract, they'll immediately try and do something about it. I honestly don't know what you do about the situation. If you pay off the rest of his contract, that's still a lot of freaking money. That's still a lot of freaking money. So it's just one of them sort of things where you put feelers out, you just say to someone, listen, first bid, make it a decent bid, but first bid that we get, we'll accept it. All you got to do is just pay the dough, pay the wages. And it may have to be a thing where we say to Mesut Ozil, listen, we'll pay you £350,000 a week for a year if you take this move. And then, because clubs make secret little side deals like that all the time. So if that's what we got to do to free up some money, so be it. For me, with Mesut Ozil, it's one of those things where it just hasn't worked out for whatever reason. You know, I don't care if you're the biggest supporter of his. You can't look at his time and think success. You can't. And I know a lot of people do this reaching thing where they say, oh, well, before Mesut Ozil came, Arsenal won no trophies. Apparently, they've forgotten about our entire year, our entire history when Mesut Ozil didn't exist. But okay, Arsenal didn't win any trophies before Mesut Ozil came. And as soon as Mesut Ozil came, apparently, it then contributed to us winning 3 trophies. I don't think it particularly works like that, but okay, whatever you say. For me, even the hardest Ozil defender can't defend the last 2 years. He's getting older. He's turning 31 soon. And I think the highest paid person in the team, is he playing like the highest paid person in the team? To me, I'm not seeing the quality. I'm not seeing what the money's going on. And I feel like you get someone with Dennis Perrat's potential ability, even though I'm not 100% sold on him, he will surely be more of a hit than Mesut Ozil. That said, would Arsenal pay 42 million euros for these two? I doubt it. 42 million euros, to be perfectly honest, sounds like our entire kitty. That sounds like our entire transfer budget, to be perfectly honest. What is that, 39 million pounds? Something like that? That sounds like our entire transfer budget. But if Emery feels like potentially these two will be, I mean, you're talking about someone who can play a Mesut Ozil position. He can also play a Ramsey position, a slightly deeper position. Excellent pass of the ball. I won't take that away from him. Good through balls. I think they're buying him for what he could potentially turn into, as opposed to the player he already is. But this Sampdoria team, they like producing players. You see what they gave us in Torreira. All right, Torreira has clearly a stamina issue. But to be fair to Torreira, that's because he goes at 110 miles an hour everywhere. So, you know, if we could turn Sampdoria into a little unofficial feeder club, I'm all for that. So, yeah, let's see. Let's see. For me, 42 million euros. Supposedly, the president is looking for 50 million for the pair. I don't see Arsenal paying 50 million, because I think if we were really going to pay 50 million euros, we'd have just done it. It's possible that Arsenal might be waiting to make a couple of sales in order to be able to match that asking fee. But yeah, 42 million euros for the pair. If Arsenal can pull it off, I think that's a good start. I like to stress a good start to the transfer window. That doesn't mean I want us to stop. So yeah. So I'm just looking at other stories here. It's a problem about doing this live. You could just edit this bit out. Oh yes, this is the other story I wanted to talk about. So Arsenal have made an inquiry, and again, this is something I mentioned in a previous Eagle Eye episode, where Arsenal have made an inquiry for Andre Radu. Andre Radu has made an impression, really, when he's been on loan for Goa this season. He has a bit of an unusual situation, because I think he's kind of an Inter player, or I think Inter have loaned him to Goa, but they have a buyback clause and they can recall him. So basically, he hasn't actually left Inter, but I think he's on like a 2-year, 3-year loan deal to Goa, and Inter can recall him whenever they want. And he's done well. And obviously at keepers was the thing I personally suggested that I thought we should look at. With the fact that Petr Cech has now retired and left, Ospina, it looks like supposedly he's going to complete his deal to Napoli. I still don't think he'll go to Napoli, but I could see him leaving. So yeah, for me, I feel like looking at a keeper is important, because I'm still not 100% convinced about Martinez. Supposedly Martinez has played well for Reading, but I ain't convinced. I'll be real. I'm not that convinced. So yeah, I think you're looking at someone who is a young keeper, 22 years old. I mean, that's a baby for a keeper. It really depends on what you kind of want for a number 2. Do you want a young keeper? When our first team goalkeeper is 26, 27, really think maybe someone more experienced would be good for number 2. My view, which is usually an unpopular view, I accept, is I do think that Leno has something about him. I do think Leno will grow and develop further. How good he'll be is another question. I'd like to see him have a goalkeeper that's going to push him. Like any little slip, your place gets taken. And it's a shame because I know that Nick Pope recently signed a contract with Burnley. I think he's staying for another 3 years, 3-year extension that he made. So yeah, for me, let's see what happens. I know that another goalkeeper that also are looking at also is Sherbet, Marcus Sherbet. His contract also comes to an end at Dynamo Dresden this summer, so that could be a freebie that Arsenal picked up. It's another one I mentioned in the Eagle Eye episode. Meant to be a very talented goalkeeper who plays in the German League 2, I believe. So yeah, these are the sort of things that I think we need to just. We're in the bargain basement. We need to embrace it. Really, it's no time for being snobbish or anything like that. I know Arsenal fans love to be snobbish about this sort of things. But we didn't win the Europa League. We're back in the Europa League next season. So these are the sort of deals we need to just make work. And if whichever one of these keepers is a decent goalkeeper, let's just make it work. Let's go and get him. Let's not mess around. Let's talk about a couple of potential exits and some confirmed exits. So it also broke today that Steven Lechsteiner has left or is leaving. We kind of knew that, but he himself broke it on Instagram. See ya. What else is there to say? And also Xavier Amiachi. Now this was a story I was a little bit worried about, because I must admit I know how good this kid is. I know excellent youngster. By the way, look out for a video I'm going to do on the youngsters this week. Probably drop on Thursday, where I'll be talking about the young players at Arsenal and who I believe will be ready for a step up. I'm going to be focusing it on people who have mainly made the bench at the very least at Arsenal. So I'm going to talk about people who you ain't ever seen on the bench, or you even know played for the under 18s or under 16. I'm talking about people who have made the bench, strictly made the bench at Arsenal this past season. And this has got kid as one of them. So Xavier Amiachi, 18 years old, excellent player, young player as well. Had a bit of a bad injury actually, so he only played 14 games this season. I know that there were stories that Emre actually quite rated him fairly early on. One of the people that I know that Emre, that he'd made an early impression on Unai Emery very early on. But yeah, he went on to actually score 4 times, lay on 5 assists, a winner. And you may have noticed that the bench during the Europa League final, I know we want to kind of Thanos the Europa League final out of our memories. But right before you do that, we just to let you know that, you know, they was a 12-man bench because the bench was large for both teams during that final. And for some weird reason, we went with 2 goalkeepers on the bench. Leno was on the bench, and Ilinev is the under 21s goalkeeper. A good little player, actually, that guy. And yeah, as a result, Xavier didn't make the bench, and he's absolutely thrown his toys out of the pram and is wilding out. On the one hand, I must admit, it's weird that he wouldn't make the bench, but a second goalkeeper makes the bench. That I kind of found weird, I must admit, and clearly he did. I know that there are a lot of teams sniffing around him, which just shows you how good the team is, or how good. Dejan Ilinev, that's the one. Yeah, so I know there are a lot of good teams that are sniffing around him at the moment. Bayern Munich being one of them, Atletico Madrid being another. But you know, Bayern Munich, they love their British talent. And we've lost a couple of really good Brits along the way, you know, in Chris Willock and Marcus McGrain, who play for Benfica and Barcelona. So for us, this is another one of those kind of kids and talents that we need to hold on to. We need to make sure that these sort of kids aren't just leaving us and we're not reaping any rewards out of it. So for us, it's important that, yes, we keep them happy. Don't get it twisted. 18 is a stupid, silly, over-the-top reaction. On one hand, I agree. On the other hand, would like to see a little bit more exposure to these type of kids in terms of if they do have the talent, we don't have the money. So let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do. So if we do have that talent, let's hold on to our talent. Let's show what they can do. And let me tell you, there's a handful of kids. You'll see when I do that video. There's a handful of kids that I highly rate. This kid is one of them. So for me, yes, I do believe it's a bit of a toys out of pram. I'm not playing anymore. You know, bottom lip type shit. But on the other hand, you know, I feel like Emery needs to kind of trust these kids a little bit more where necessary. For example, for me, I'd like to see more of Saka. No, it's not just because he's Nigerian. I actually just think there is a talent there, and I'd like to see more of him. I'd definitely like to see more of Smith Rowe. I'd like to see more of Nelson. Let's see more of these kids and see what they can actually do. Let's trust our talent a little bit more, because we also don't have money, so we need to make the best of what we can. And I think the money that we do have and do spend needs to be on down defenders. That's just my opinion. Right. So let's talk about some exits. So I mentioned it earlier about Mesut Ozil. Looks like he could be on his way out. Depends if Mesut Ozil really digs his heels in, but let's see. Another priority exit for Emery is Henrik Mkhitaryan and Squadran Mustafi. Amen to both of those. Squadran Mustafi, I've talked to death about. He's on 90 grand a week. Supposedly AC Milan are sniffing around, potentially going to put in a £20 million bid. If they bid 5, I say accept it. Let's not even mess around. Don't even poker face them. 5 million, take him, right? But actually, it's the Mkhitaryan one that, in a lot of ways, I'm the most disappointed by, because I must admit I was very enthusiastic for him coming in. Stal, a friend of the show, we've heard him talk that shit before when it comes to Mkhitaryan. And me and him have always gone on the back and forth. And I was always like, is he really that bad? Because this guy is supposed to be pretty talented. And maybe it's just Jose that's ruined him. It ain't Jose that's ruined him. The kid just doesn't have it. He don't have it. He don't have it. He don't have it. In his entire 2-year run, he's turned up once for 6 weeks, and that was this past season. This past season, where I thought, okay, something may have clicked, and then he's just gone back. Actually, he's regressed to me. I don't know if it's a confidence issue. Maybe he's just not happy in England. Either way, though, if that's the case, bounce, innit? You're costing a lot of money to bounce. Again, another player who is 30 years old. It's only when you start analysing this thing, you think to yourself, fucking hell, Arsenal are quite an old team. Like, overnight, it seems like a lot of our team have just aged. And you're kind of wondering, people are wondering why, Emery's playing this hard-working style and this pragmatic style, and maybe we don't have the personnel. No, maybe we don't, because half these motherfuckers are old. I say that as a 34-year-old. Don't get it twisted. But I'm not a footballer. So 30 years old is old. So, I'm not surprised that a lot of these guys can't cope with Emery's energetic style. And I think that you need to get rid of, I know it's purely ageist. As a HR thing, this is purely frowned upon in the real life. Don't get me wrong, in real life, I would not be talking like this. But in terms of football, you get rid of these old motherfuckers. So, Ozil, get the fuck out. Mkhitaryan, get the fuck out. Mustafi plays like an old man, get the fuck out. You know, and Mkhitaryan in his particular case is on £190,000 a week. Get the fuck out. I'm saying that's money. And that's the only way you're going to be able to raise that dough. I know that supposedly Dortmund have always been interested in taking Henrik Mkhitaryan back. That's one of those ones again where I say, any offer, take it. Take it, because he clearly ain't happy. So maybe you'll be happier abroad. Okay, and the last story I'm going to be talking about is the signing of Thomas Müller. I probably butchered that one. So this story came out a few days ago, that Arsenal were in advanced talks with him for a £22 million move. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I saw the story, and after thinking about it, I determined it was bullshit. Because I thought to myself, so why would Arsenal spend £22 million on a player that's going to sit behind Bellerin when we only have £40 million to spend? It didn't compute. It didn't make sense, right? But the story still ain't going away. In fact, it's intensified because supposedly United, who also need a right back, are also sniffing around this Manure guy as well. And so, I mean, they're quoting 22 million. He'd probably go past 25 million. I know he's a good player, 27 years old, Belgian player, currently in the middle of a 5-year contract. Decent player. I'm actually a little surprised that PSG are letting him go. He's not like blisteringly quick or anything, but defensively very, very solid. You know, in a lot of ways, the complete opposite to Bellerin in the sense that he could, first of all, he could cross the ball, but he's defensively very. You know who he kind of reminds you of? Not necessarily in physique, but in style. Kind of a right-back version of Nacho Monreal when we first signed Nacho Monreal. Not now. And I wouldn't mind one of those. I'll be honest. I wouldn't mind one of those. So, yeah, for me, it is what it is. Let's see, £22 million. I don't see it happening. I'll be honest. I really don't see it happening. But if it does, I think it'll be a welcome addition to the team because, Lord knows, we need some strengthening, particularly in that right-back spot. I think Ainsley has done amazingly well, considering he's learnt a new position, but he's not a long-term solution. What I'd like to see is us get rid of Mohamed El-Nene, Nenzi Maitland-Niles as the replacement for him. And then between Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Emil Smith-Rowe, I think you cover that Aaron Ramsey spot. Now, funny enough, I said this was the last story. I've got one more story about a potential Aaron Ramsey replacement. But actually, for me, I think that's how you go about replacing an Aaron Ramsey and a Mohamed El-Nene. It's just slotting those two in. But yeah, for me, do I think that... See, this is a sort of story where I think this is more of a paper story. I think Emre's worked with him. They got on. One of the few players Emre actually got on with. They put 2 and 2 together, and they've come up with this shit. So I don't see the story coming off. Don't be surprised if he ends up going to United. I think this will probably be the result of what happens. But yeah, supposedly we're interested in Thomas Müller. Now, the very, very final story I want to... Oh, no, I'm going to talk about that story as well. Fine, this is a long episode, I know. 2 more stories, and I'm going to be out. So also, Boateng. Jerome Boateng has been told that he can leave Bayern Munich. The defender has been linked with us and Manchester United. But he doesn't actually want to return to the Premier League. He actually would prefer to move to Juventus or PSG. I must admit, I'm relieved. I'm relieved. Mind you, I'm a massive fan of Jerome Boateng. Always was. Always was. I thought I think he's an excellent little player. I say little player, he was a big motherfucker. He was an excellent player. Excellent player. But we don't need this. You know, we're not a retirement home for these guys, you know? We don't need this. Like, I think at best, he'll probably give us a good 3 months. You have people on probably a.f.c creaming their pants about him, talking about how he's the new coming of Jesus Christ. And then when they realize that actually he ain't great, then you're going to slowly see people having difficulties trying to track back and retract their comments and stuff like that. And I can already see it playing out. I'd rather spend money on a decent, proven, younger defender. I still don't understand how we've not been with Lewis Dunk. I don't get how that hasn't happened yet. Lewis Dunk, for me, is the easy signing to complete. He's Premier League proven. He's 27 years old. He's a big motherfucker, a good defender. He plays for Brighton. You telling me that he ain't going to go? Even if Brighton say, all right, 20 million for him. 20 million for a proven good big defender. Let's have him. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my own little side rant. You guys just know I've been high on Lewis Dunk for a few weeks. Admittedly, not as long as Lee, but I've been high on Lewis Dunk pretty much since we played them at the Emirates, to be honest. I was very, very impressed. Very impressed. And people like to laugh and scoff at the fact that I recommend Ben Mee. Ben Mee's better than any defender we have. I'm just annoyed because there are two obvious answers there that are Premier League proven, and we're just like, nah, it's the snobby shit. Anyway, I digress. Last story. So Arsenal are planning to raid South America. So according to the Daily Star, we're looking at replacements for Juventus-bound Aaron Ramsey. And one of the top targets is Boca Juniors star Nathan Nandez. Nathan Nandez. I can't read names. I don't understand what's wrong with me. I can read, but when it comes to names, I will butcher it. But yeah, it supposedly is a top target. Well, apparently Emery has about 18 top targets. So forget that. Maybe he's someone that Emery's briefly looked at. But he does like his Boca Junior stars. He's 23 years old. Supposedly, they have high hopes for him in Argentina. Leeds, funnily enough. Championship Leeds were sniffing around him. And potentially were looking to sign him if they had been promoted up to the Premier League. But obviously they didn't make it because they got smashed by Derby. But yeah, I think they like the idea that potentially him and Lucas Torreira might be able to work together very well. Yeah, I think one thing we've been very blessed with is the South American players that we've had. I think they have been we're very fortunately, whenever we get a South American player in, more often than not, they tend to be very effective for us. Yeah, I know, for every Denilson, there's been a Gilberto, you know. We've had Sanchez. We have Lucas Torreira. So, you know, I like the idea of it. I think if he's good enough and we can get him for a decent target, some of these Boca Junior types are excellent players, you know. If you could spot the right one, there's some gems in there. So, yeah, for me, I'd be all over that. If he's good enough. And also, finally, let me just mention as well, I was so shocked to learn on Saturday that Jose Antonio Reyes had passed away in a car crash. I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty terrible weekend sporting-wise. Let me not even go into the AJ stuff, but let me focus on this. So a guy who is a year older than me, he's 35 years old, still playing football, was involved in a car crash over the weekend. and unfortunately lost his life. So for me, I just want to just say very, very quickly, rest in peace to an invincible at the end of the day, and one of our own at the end of the day. Reyes, to be honest, as a player, I always had a little bit of skepticism around whether or not he would be good enough. But I'll tell you what, there was no doubt in his potential. No doubt in his potential. And you know what? When all things considered, actually didn't do bad for us, you know. It was all right, you know. So for me, I just want to, thoughts and prayers are with the family. Rest in peace, Antonio Reyes. And yeah, that's that. All right. I haven't even looked at the chat room the whole time I've been doing this. Let me just quickly take a peek, just check you out. If you're listening to me for the first time, please do hit that like button, crush that like button for me, hit the subscribe button. This is the kind of thing I do. Lots of material is dropping, so make sure you do that. I'm just going to take a peek right now. Taking a peek into the chat. Sorry, you probably heard me right now. 30 likes, 72 people watching. Thank you, VP. Yes, I am back. J Rob, big up to VP and J Rob for the $2 and €2 donations, respectively. Thank you, guys. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for listening to me. If anyone has any questions they want to ask, drop it now. I'll do literally 5 minutes of questions, and then I'll pop back out again. So yeah, please do get the like buttons up. Big up, Boots. I see you leading the charge on that one. Likes always help. So thank you for that. Not familiar. Reyes should have started the Champions League finals instead of Perez. Yeah, Reyes was a good talent. He was a good talent. He's a good talent. It's pronounced. All right, people. Yes, we know I can't read names. All right, give me a break. Fight was a shocker. Yeah, VP, don't get started. I'm sure me and Ola will cover that soon. We keep meaning to meet up and talk about the fight. So, excuse me, I think I've got a cold now. So yeah, we'll cover that at some point. All right, guys. I can see you're slow with the questions today, so I'm going to leave you guys to it. But thank you so much for listening to me. Big up to Douglas. I see you, bro. I see you, mate. Big up. And I'll catch you guys again soon. I'll be back tomorrow with a video. It could be a chopping block. It could be another one of these. So still keep tuned. Every day this week I'm coming at you, so look out for that. And did I celebrate? Did I celebrate when AJ lost? No, not at all. I'm an AJ fan. Laters, the two Adams, and big up the two Adams. All right, I'm out of here because it feels like I've just had a cold the last 2 seconds. So let me clear my nose. But anyway, I'm out, people. Take care. Peace.